for our next little topic of discussion, a little bit different, we're going to be talking about XDefiant. In particular, producer Mark Ruben's response to some criticism. So XDefiant released as a free-to-play game that sort of brings together different bits of Ubisoft's multiverse catalog. It's free-to-play, so very cool. That's great, but it's got a lot of bugs. And players are very, very unhappy about the bugs. I think as they should be. And I agree, free to play or not, you should try and iron out these bugs, particularly when it comes to this Ubisoft game, because they're charging $150 for some currency. But let's go into it a little bit more. XDefiant's executive producer Mark Ruben addresses negative feedback about the game's bugs, suggesting players can move on if they can't handle the current state. Look, fair enough. That's one way to talk to your audience. I can imagine as a game developer, producer, director, whatever the case may be, and you're dealing with some very hardcore fans, some of the sort of nonsense you must get on Twitter or social media will be exhausting. Telling them to move on, a little bit much. The article continues by saying the game's technical issues such as hit registration problems stem from the Snowdrop engine being reconstructed for a first-person shooter, requiring a lot of work and resulting in bugs. So the Snowdrop engine, as Mark Ruben is going to go on to explain in the article, is that it was originally for an MMO. So it's for RPGs, and they decided to repurpose it for a first-person shooter. That was a good move. Mark Ruben, one of XDefiant's executive producers, has commented on the negative feedback from gamers regarding the free-to-play shooter's bugs, suggesting that players can move on if they can't deal with the game's current state. Judging from Ruben's statements, it appears that it may have taken some time for XDefiant's problems to be fixed, especially on the bugs and glitches front. We will read Mark Ruben's tweet in a little bit. It's a little bit more than just move on. There's a little bit of information there. However, I understand it must get frustrating, but you are in the public eye, and if you can't handle that, maybe just take a break from social media. Ubisoft's XDefiant had a rocky road leading up to its release. Initially unveiled in 2021 as a Tom Clancy's XDefiant, early marketing for the game presented a colorful punk rock-inspired take on the traditional class-based military shooter. The response from fans at the time was widely negative due to how far XDefiant's aesthetic strayed from past works in the universe. Eventually, Ubisoft dropped the Clancy branding entirely, re-revealed the game in March 2022, this time advertising it more as a competitor to Call of Duty. A handful of days later, the French publisher finally released XDefiant in May 2024. So this is what XDefiant
factions
originally was.
Each bringing unique gameplay and team dynamics. Every faction,
so it's definitely got
traits,
a lot of
abilities and an ultra to complement your playstyle and the faction's role. Used skillfully, each faction is capable of swinging the momentum of a match.
Yeah,
our factions are at the heart of
definitely
the game.
got a I would say,
they're inspired by Maverick
cartoony style to everything.
Games and beyond. From this inspiration,
calling it a Tom Clancy game, yeah, I can definitely see why fans would have been a little bit annoyed. So I suppose that definitely would have contributed to some of the bugs. If the game was already coming out in this state A, and they realized that, oh wait, we kind of messed up. Tom Clancy, people who play Tom Clancy games expect a little bit more of this, but we've gone with that. Let's repurpose it. So we've had to sort of change and scrap it, and then Ubisoft's mandated to release it. So I get why there's probably going to be some bugs. Again, free to play. However, you're charging $150 for microtransaction, which isn't a microtransaction at that point. That's a macro transaction. That's a whole game plus change. XDefiant's high concurrent player count across the PlayStation, Xbox, and PC hasn't exactly translated into widespread critical acclaim, as the first-person shooter has received a fairly mixed reception so far from fans, with some accusing it of being a rushed product. Headlining some of the game's disappointment with the title is its somewhat shaky technical state, as players have reported experiencing frustrating hit registration issues in XDefiant, among many other bugs. So this is Mark Ruben's tweet, where I give my opinion on this. Rushed out? No. What we have is an engine that has only ever been an MMO, and so all of the infrastructure for a first-person shooter has had it to be built from the ground floor. Even COD started on ID Tech, which was a shooter engine. Apex started on a shooter engine. But for us, we are working on developing all new tech in an engine that was designed for something else. That being said, the engine is really great, but it does require a lot of work, and with that work comes a lot of bugs that other engines have worked out. We're not a shooter that's been out for 20 years. If you like what we are trying to do, stick around and you'll see things improve and new features get added. But if the game isn't for you, that's okay. You can move on. So that's, again, when you see the full tweet, you can see that he's not just telling people to bugger off. He's basically saying, look, it is what it is. We're trying our best. If you don't want to hang around right now, you can go. And the subreddit did say a lot of people were going to go. Although I respect Mark's tweet, I do kind of feel like it's a little bit of a cop-out. Just to say that, this engine isn't for this first, and for RPGs, and meant for MMOs, we have had to do this. Okay, that's your job. First of all, why are you using Snowdrop? An executive producer, I'm sure it's pre-mandated by you. Why are you using an engine that's not suitable? And if you are saying, oh, well, look at these games, they all did it on shooter engines. We're making it harder for ourselves. So please keep playing. It's not my fault there's bugs. Well, yeah, it kind of is. If there's that many bugs in the game that people are finding a shooter, a first-person competitive shooter, where your hit registration is absolutely abysmal, free-to-play or not, MMO engine or not, something's gone wrong along the lines. If we have a look over at Metacritic right now, you can see it's a fairly mixed response. 4.5 user score, actually not mixed at all. People aren't having a good time, but critics have given it a 69. So some of the user reviews, game's actually pretty fun, but on PC it's unplayable. Game crashes a lot, even on high-end PCs. Bugs, black screens, hackers, less than before, so we move. Some effects need tweaks, but it's not fun to play when you spend 30 minutes from an hour to restart the game. So, we got the Mizark show. To find multiplayer shooter, I like that Ubisoft is using their brands and IP a bit here, but they all look pretty similar, which makes it hard to know who you're playing against. Okay. Pickle Donut. Always amazes me how people find ways to sweat. Spawns are at least better than Modern Warfare 2 and 3, which allows spawn killing, but in no way a COD killer, and I don't even like Modern Warfare 2 and 3. No SBMM, highly doubt. Lying ass devs, long ass loading screens, long ass transitions between lobby loading, gameplay loading, countdown to match, worst character design and models, pay to win class unlocks, low effort recolor skins, obvious cheats, sweats, and no public chat. This is Ugly Soft's worst game. Come. So that's quite interesting. I wonder if we can find a positive review. We got 0, a 2. Here we go. Very good game. I was very addicted. The game runs well and is very balanced. Best free FPS in the world. Very fun and promising game. It's a good start. I'm really looking forward to start season 1. Okay, that's best first-person shooter in the world. I think Corsa Matador might work for Ubisoft. And here when we have a look at some of the microtransactions, as I said, $150, $75, $37, $32 for a starter pack. Season 1 is free, so that's great. $30, $14. Look, XDefiant isn't a game for me. I won't be playing it. Do I feel like Mark Ruben is telling people to bugger off? Absolutely not. I think obviously he is, but I don't think he's telling people to go away. I think he's trying to mitigate some damage by giving some information about what engine they're using and why there's so many issues at the moment. Comparing it to other shooters, your competition essentially, and talking about how they had it easy because they started on a shooter engine. Well, that's your fault. Can't blame them because of that reason. Using the fact that your engine isn't built for shooters it's not a good enough excuse as far as I'm concerned. I suppose one interesting, let's see, when XDefiant started development, 8 years. So according to this, XDefiant, so 8 years according to Reddit. Where have they got their sources? 5 to 8 years. 8 years is telling you games typically 5 years. XDefiant was announced in 2021, so I expect development started in 2019. Yeah, that's a little bit more accurate. So I think 5 years is a good estimate. So at what point in your development cycle, whether you're in the planning stages or the full blown actually developing, you realize that, oh, these have a lot of bugs. Why are we using Snowdrop? Why are we using this engine? Can we not change engines? Can we not have a little bit more time? Again, they released it with this whole cartoony punk rock aesthetic, which didn't go over with fans. Shock horror, who could have seen that coming? And they probably had to scrap that, which would have taken away from some of that polish time, which, again, why not delay it a little bit more? Overall, I really want to know what you guys think about this whole XDefiant issue. Do you think Mark's got a really good point? Do you think he's given enough information? Or do you think it's just a nothing sandwich and they just really don't know what's going on? Do you think the engine cut it? Do you think XDefiant will be around this time next year? Let me know what you think below. Dum 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 dum. Do 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 do. Da da dum dum da dum dum. Do da 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 da. Do 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 do. Do 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 dum 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 do 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 dum 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 do 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 da da dum dum da dum.